To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. Jay here, positivesarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio. Yes, I'm wearing pink stripy pants alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Legitimately. Like, subscribe, share. In the middle of a hurricane. Positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. Well, it's off the coast, so we're just getting some nice breezy breeze. Nice little breezy breeze coming through all the windows. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, go ahead and hit me up on my website, positivesarcasm.com. Am I stretching? I gotta figure out how to put this. There we go. It's a little better. It's like a big black cock right in front of my face. You can also hit me up on Instagram at +_sarcasm. Yep, the YouTube algorithm's going to hit early on this one. So if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can hit me on my website. You can hit me up through Instagram, or you can email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. Sorry, this isn't a podcast for your moms. Or is it? What was it we talked about last week? About it. What was your, as a man, what is your long-term plan? What is your long-term plan? Now, that is ultimately just setting up a goal, setting up your goal for just overall life success. But there's other factors to it, all right? Obviously, as men, they say we don't have time for emotions. We have a world to hold together, okay? If you have a family to take care of, kids, dog, job, business to run, wife, girlfriend, fiance that you have to take care of. Your stuff is secondary. It's not that we're submissive. We're not worker bees. It's we've got stuff to do. We don't have time to be sitting here crying. We have to get stuff done. Okay? There's got to be wood in the fireplace. There's got to be food on the table, and the rent or mortgage has got to be paid. All right? Nobody's going to come crying for you. All right? Unless you've been wrongly convicted of a drug charge overseas. But more on that later. Or never, hopefully. Am I even going to leave the United States ever again? Probably never. Quite frankly. I wanted to talk a little bit, maybe a short podcast, but I wanted to focus on some emotions, because there's too many betas out there right now. All right? And I'm not going to blame this on, Dungeons and Dragons or Fortnite or Call of Duty. Okay? I've been in all those realms. I played Magic the Gathering. I love Fortnite. I love video games with violence in them, okay? But I have to come back down to earth because at the end of the day, the floor's got to be swept and the gym's got to be lifted and the car's got to be donutted. We got to do all this stuff, all right? So they have responsibilities in life. But as a man, there are a few emotions that if you feel them, it's not that you go and talk to your friends about it. You first have to be like, I have to take action with these so-called emotions. I get it. I get that we all feel sad sometimes, or we feel mad sometimes. Why you mad, bro? Why you mad? First of all, how are you showing that you're mad or you're sad? Do you have that melancholy look? Are you uncontrollably aggressive? That irrational rage? First of all, if you have irrational rage, are you inbred? Because that is a sign of irrational. Irrational rage is a sign of inbreeding. Okay, that is a truth. But of course, low IQ, also a factor. Poor development as a child, no father figure. That is a sign that can determine irrational rage. Rage is just you're not controlled. Uncontrollable anger. You're always angry. You're always seething. Well, that's because you're holding back from being able to do something constructive. You should always be trying to create, not destroy. All right? There's the kid who builds the Legos, and then there's the little shit who knocks them over. That is the difference. There's the person who builds the house, and then there is the whiny brat who tries to burn it down. So, we'll start off with sad. Why are you sad? All right. There's multiple reasons for people being sad. Let's just blame it to a chemical imbalance or a hormonal imbalance. Is it really that, though? Is it truly that? Maybe it is, but it might be a more solvable issue than one would realize. Like, why you say, first of all, what are you eating? What do you eat on a daily basis? What is your pattern? Everything here that we're going to kind of chat about for a few minutes here is going to be about pattern, establishing a pattern. If you have a pattern of behavior and work ethic throughout the day. Now, a pattern of behavior is that right? Well, can you have it has to be a pattern. Well, if you have a pattern of like carjacking, that's a problem. But a pattern of behavior that leads to constructive growth as a human being, constructive mental health, constructive physical health, constructive financial health. You need that type of pattern. First of all, what are you eating? All right. I saw a woman at the grocery store. She works at this grocery store, and every day I see her wandering over to the most processed stuff every day, and she goes and picks something out, and she is a solid 400 pounds. We talked about the grocery store U-shaped pattern where you walk in and you go straight to the meat set. You go, straight to eggs. You go straight around to the outsides where the meat section is. You end up in produce and then you exit. That's the U-shape. If you're spending if you're spending too long in the middle aisles, that means you're, number one, spending too much money, and number two, you're buying garbage. Okay, that's it. If you have to think about it for more than 10 seconds, leave. Get out of that section. Get out of that section. Go spend that $2.99 on I don't know, a penny stock or something. But you're sad. Sadness can come from just exhaustion, not accomplishing anything. But poor diet is definitely a part of sadness. If you eat like garbage, I understand that we've all kind of gone through the phases where you can't afford to eat properly. We all have that ramen noodle diet. First of all, anybody who's poor as shit and they're just trying to save enough money so that they can get to a certain, I don't know, hierarchy in life or whatever, and you're on that ramen noodle diet, hey, you know what? I understand that is a means to an end. There is some value in that. You can use that to get better. If you want to get strong, I'm not going to knock it. First of all, when you're younger, if you're on a ramen noodle diet, that's a building block for something. I'll be honest with you. The noodles in ramen noodles, whether it's top ramen, Marichan ramen, it's not the best noodle for you. Hell, even a lot of the noodles on the shelf are like pasta noodles, are not even good for you. It's all bleached out flour and stuff like that. But if you're on a 5-year plan and you're on ramen noodles and you're taking, I don't know, deli meat and broccoli and mixing it in with that ramen noodle packet, and you're building that, power lunch, dinner, breakfast ramen, and then you use that to lift and to jog and to walk, then there's value in that ramen noodle diet. If you have a building block of something, as long as it's just not ramen noodles, peanut butter and jelly. First of all, peanut butter and jelly can get expensive, especially if you're buying the good jelly. Well, the cheap jelly is like, fructose corn syrup. You might as well just go grab some honey. But if you have a baseline diet that's super, super cheap, all right, there is a method. There is a way you can build on that using that ramen noodle diet. Like, try it. I'll try it. Like, seriously, if you're on the ramen noodle diet, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent. If you're on the ramen noodle diet, you can't afford anything, all right? Then you go to the deli section and you get end cuts. It's just leftover meat that wasn't sliced properly or whatever. You'll find cheese there. You'll find ham. You'll find turkey. You'll find roast beef. And you take all that meat, that protein, it's protein, and you mix that in with your ramen noodles. That whole packet that's in the ramen noodles, you put that in there too. Salt that shit up because you're going to need that sodium. Sodium is important. Without it, the body drowns. It's good for lifting. Granted, it's not the best sodium, but it'll do. But if you're doing that, you're eating that twice a day, and you're lifting weights and stuff like that, it's going to work. It is definitely going to help. If you have a lifestyle that can support, that can take all of that carbohydrates, all that sodium, all that protein, and all that other extra stuff, and you're drinking plenty of water, then you're good. If you can afford cheap coffee, When I mean cheap coffee, I mean like maybe Cafe Bustelo already pre-made. The stuff that comes in a can, like Folgers Crystals or whatever. That still works. That's still coffee. That's still part of a nutrition diet. You could still use that. All right? That works. Drink it black. You're fine. Use that. That's an energy supplement. It'll do work. It's good for it's honestly, it is. It's good for digestion. It's good for hydration. It has that effect. So I understand. We can't all be rich the minute we turn 18. You're going to struggle, but you can struggle with a decent diet. A diet that consists of basically 4 for $1 ramen noodles. As long as you have a regiment to support that structure. Because you're basically eating a package of carbohydrates every single day. Not just every single day, but if you're eating it 4 times a day. You can do this at work. You can do it at home. You can do it in the morning. It's not difficult. You just sprinkle a little bit of that, and the other thing. So you can do this. It's very much possible. So I'm not going to hate on you for that. I'm not. If you are in a state where you can't afford to do anything, you can't afford to go anywhere, you can't afford to eat anything, then you're going to start at the basics. You're going to start at the basics. If you can't afford to go to the gym, you're going to find weights. You're going to go do home workouts, which is all right. It is all right. All right. You can do 1,000,000 push-ups. You can do 1,000,000 sit-ups. You can do standing squats. Okay. You can do kettlebell rows with, I don't know, your laundry bag. Or something like that. I don't know. What is a kettlebell row? Kettlebell swings. I'm sorry. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm saying you can do all these things. Overhead presses with your laundry bag. Bent over rows with your laundry bag. Whatever. Either way, there's a way of getting jacked without being able to afford to go to the gym. I can't afford to go. Well, how much does it cost? $80 a month. Well, Planet Fitness is only $10. I'll be honest with you. You're better off working at home. You're better off working out at home than going to Planet Fitness. To me, Planet Fitness is a bad influence in my opinion. I wouldn't waste my time there. Now, other nutritional things that if you're brokey, perfect example is tea. Green tea, black tea, zinc tea. Cheap, inexpensive. Helpful for you. Caffeinated, non-caffeinated, helps you focus, gives you supplementation. Good for you. Cheap vegetables. Corn, broccoli, carrots, peas. Easy to cook, easy to digest. Yummy. It's yummy. So this is part of it. If you're sad, it's what are you eating? If you need extra carbohydrates, yes, you can probably get yourself a wrap with peanut butter and jelly, but you better use all of that. Because nothing in that peanut butter and jelly sandwich is good for you. The bread ain't good for you. The jelly ain't good for you. The peanut butter ain't good for you because it's not a nut. It's a legume that's been roasted. It's tasty, but none of that's good for you. But you can use it. You can use those calories. You can use those carbohydrates. You can use that to build, to bulk, to get stronger. Honestly, and the ultimate bodybuilder diet. A friend of mine, Bill McCoy, told me this a long time ago. Nothing beats dead animal and rice. And when I mean dead animal, I mean if it's a cheap piece of meat, steak, ground beef, ground pork, ground poultry, doesn't matter. Yogurt, mix some. You take some yogurt, some rice, and some ground beef. So you fry that. You find that ground. Right now, ground pork is the cheapest. You fry that ground pork, and you grab some white rice, old-fashioned white rice. White rice generally digests. First of all, you get more for your dollar in a bag of rice than you do in a box of pasta. It's easier to digest, doesn't hurt your stomach as much, and you can use that rice that goes straight to your muscles. It tastes good. It absorbs butter and salt and other sauces way better. And you mix it in with that ground beef that you just fried out. First of all, you take all that fat, if you're frying it in a pan and you have all that like fat that came out of the ground beef or the ground pork or the ground chicken or ground lamb or whatever you have, use that. Take all of that ground grossness. It's not even gross, first of all. And you put that goes in with the rice. That goes in with the rice, and the rice soaks that up, and you get all that fat, that animal fat. And then if you have some broccoli, mix it in. If you have some peas or carrots or corn, mix that in. It's fine. Mix all that in. Dead animal with rice, mix that in. That's your go-to. That's your meal that's a champion's meal right there. Whether you want to be a weightlifter, a bodybuilder, a power lifter, Olympic lifter, whatever. That's going to help you strengthen the body and strengthen the mind. All right. Now, this is the building blocks for getting stronger. What are you eating and how are you using it? Now, another key to that, if you're sad, how are you sleeping? Do you have a body pillow? Are you in an environment that allows you to sleep? Are you getting things done during the day? Are you organized? If you're not organized, what's your timetable look like during the day? Do you work at a restaurant? Do you work in retail? Do you have an office job? Are you subject to lighting all the time? Do you have odd hours? Well, these things have to be organized. Now, getting organized is obviously the job thing is most important. Because you all have jobs out there. You run a business. And I get it. You can work yourself to death. I worked in the restaurant business for, 5 years? From the age of like 16 to the age of like almost 21. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. And in my opinion, when I was working in the restaurant business, I wasn't missing anything. That was the cool thing. But working in the restaurant business, I wasn't missing anything as an adult. I feel like I had people I hung out with, I could get along with. They were my age group. The bosses were cool, the girls were hot, the food was delicious, and you had at least some type of a routine. And you were learning, you were meeting people. Whether they were employees or customers. All right, and you understood hard work. You can understand hard work in a restaurant, depending upon the restaurant. But you met all walks of life there. So, and that's a place where ultimately a lot of your ailments can stem from. Like a lot of your ailments come to light there, whether it's acne, posture, fitness, style, education, knowledge base. These are things that will show themselves in a restaurant. Now, are you good with people? Can you work hard? Are you physically able to get through a shift, whether it's a 4-hour shift, 8-hour shift, or 12-hour shift? That's a thing. Now, but these are all starter gigs. Now, obviously, if you're starting life over and you're like 30 or 40, starting out at a restaurant could be harder, but you can still make money. You're still capable of making money, especially nowadays. Apparently, the economy, no tax on tips or no tax on overtime. I don't know if that factors in. That could be helpful. That could be a building block for you bringing your life back, taking control of your life again. So, being sad. Why are you sad? How are you sleeping? How are you eating? Sleeping is most important. You should be getting, if you go to bed at 9 o'clock. There's a lot you can get done before 9 o'clock, but I know 9 o'clock comes up quickly. First of all, there's no show on after. It's not like when I was a kid. There's no show on after 9 o'clock that you ain't missing. You ain't missing anything. Everything's on demand or on YouTube or on some free radio website. So at the end of the day, you're not missing anything after 9 o'clock. All right? There's nobody at the bar, unless it's Tuesday night and the nurses are going out to get drunk. There's nothing you're missing on a Tuesday night or ladies' night or any of that stuff. You're not missing anything out there. You don't want those bitches. You don't want those bitches. You don't want that environment. You don't want that life. And quite frankly, you don't want that bar bill at the end of the night that wipes out your entire minuscule paycheck. So you don't want that. You want routine. You want discipline. You don't want to be sad anymore. You want to eat better. All right? And you can eat better and it tastes good too. You want to sleep better. So you got to let's just shoot for a minimum of 6 hours. So for example, you go to bed at 9 or you go to bed, if you go to bed at 9 and you wake up at 5, that's 8 hours. But if you wake up for some reason at 4 because you got to pee, then you know what? Just get up at 4. Get up at 4, sit there and drink your coffee, and maybe if you're in a position to watch the sun come up or listen to get some peace and freaking quiet, or if you have that motivation to get up and go to the gym in the mornings, then go to the gym in the mornings. There's trade-offs to going to the gym in the mornings and in the afternoons. It's totally there. But that's up to you. That's your preference. Or you start off in the morning by going for a walk. You do that. That's the easiest way to start burning calories and to get your mind right. Now, I understand the winter months, it's tougher to do that, but this is, it's going to be a challenge no matter what, but it's part of your routine. And it's like, well, if I start going for a walk in the morning, if I'm waking up at 4, well, I can at least get up and go for a walk. All right, 25 minutes. Maybe I burn like 100 calories or something. You do that 6 days a week, dude. You just burned 600 calories of body fat. Potentially. All right. 1 pound of body fat is like 3,000 to 4,000 calories. Do that for a while. Do it for 6 months. And see how many pounds of fat you shed over a 6-month period. How much leaner, how much leaner your body is, how much clearer your mind is. Your metabolism starts to speed up. You're able to eat more but not pack on the unnecessary pounds to achieve your goal. And maybe you start sleeping better because you start that morning off right, and then you go to the gym in the afternoon, and you're like, oh man, I'm tired. I'm actually ready. My brain is clear. I'm ready. I'm actually ready for bed. And then that waking up at 4 a.m. turns into waking up at 5 a.m., but you get a whole night's sleep, and you're like, okay. But you have your stuff done the night before. So, like, you don't wake up and be like, oh, I got to make food. I don't have any food. I got to go out and buy lunch. Well, you just wasted $12. It's like, okay, no. You got to do that the night before. And your job, on top of that. If you're sad all the time, if you're depressed, how is your job? I get it if you're working in the restaurant business. It's crazy. Working in retail definitely sucks. First of all, if you work in retail, you're definitely capable of switching over to an environment, whether it's an office environment or a construction environment or a labor-based environment or any other environment. Any environment is going to be better for you than working in retail. All right. I know some people work in car sales, which is technically retail. But that's not my recommendation. I get some people can do it and they make a ton of money doing it. Not for me. I don't recommend it. Financial advisors at a dealership, that's different. That's a different animal. But you really got to kill for that job. But how are you sleeping? How are you eating? How is your job? Do you like your job? Do you see yourself moving up or getting replaced by AI in the next 5 years? Are these the things that, if you have a job that gives you that routine, it's like now, or gives you a steady schedule, you now have the ability to build and organize your day, your week, your weekend, your months, your years. And it's like, all right, this is my plan. This is my 6-month plan for changing my diet, changing how I sleep, figuring out how my job is going to progress, or if I'm going to move. All right. And if you like it, maybe you're not working as hard as you think you would. You ask your boss, hey, what am I not doing? It's not a hard conversation to have. Be like, listen, I'm making some changes. And it's not just I'm buying, some new khakis and changing my wardrobe, which is a part of it, but a very small one. What else can we be doing? What's your plan for me for the next 6 months? I'm like, all right, well, we'll set up a meeting and talk about it. Okay. What do you want me doing? And go from there. So another thing is, like, what are your activities? Do you do anything other than go to the gym now? Or it's just like, I go to the gym. I go to the gym. I go for walks in the morning. I eat right. It's like, okay, cool. You're a fucking robot. Do you have any activities? Do you play baseball, basketball, football? Do you belong to a running club? Do you belong to a Magic the Gathering club? Do you, I don't know, go for hikes? Do you have these things where you can meet up with people? All right. Do you have friends? Well, I get it. If you don't have friends, you don't have friends. But your creativity, where does your mind lead you other than in front of the PlayStation? So if you're just sitting there by yourself, I get it. Video games are cool. Somebody created them out of love, out of passion, out of something in their brain, and it took off. There's indie developers, then there's commercial developers. But at the end of the day, a cool game was created. But what's your environment? What does it allow you to do? Do you go to the park? Do you swim? Do you like to surf? Do you like to boogie board? Do you like to watch the waves? Do you like to fly drones? Do you like cool cars? Do you like, I don't know, going to health food stores and looking at, I don't know. But you like going to car shows? Do you have a project car that maybe you want to work on, or a car that you really want that you want to kind of make your own and show off, or go for cruises with other like card club people? And these are all things that you can do, but you start them incrementally. Okay? And you pick that one avenue, see if you can fit it into your schedule. Do you like to design things? Are you creative? Are you a video editor? Do you like music? Do you like to go to concerts or small shows? These are little things that if free or low cost, do. It's free to run, okay? Definitely tell you that. It's definitely free to run. And older cars, low-cost cars, they're generally low cost. You can have like a cool car that's really cheap. Hell, you could buy a Corvette for $7,000. All right? You can have a sweet American classic for $7,000. You can go look it up right now. All right? So there are ways to eat well, sleep better, have a job that you don't mind, activities that you enjoy or you see meaning in. Lifting, that's easy. We already talked about that, the ramen noodle diet, and how to do things yourself without having to pay any money to go to the gym. Being creative, absolutely. Do you like to draw? Do you like to paint? Do you like to put rocks in certain formations on the beach? There's ways of doing that. There's lots of ways of taking that sad, because if you're just sitting around doing nothing, just doom scrolling on your phone, then you're sad, because you're looking at everybody else. When you're doom scrolling, you're looking at everybody else pretending to be happy, and you're not. That's the kicker. So these are a lot of ways to prevent being sad. Now, sadness is a good study into oneself. It's a good way, like, why am I sad? Now, people go to their doctors and go, I'm depressed or I'm sad. Well, they'll just be like, we'll take you. They're happily going to give you a pill. They're happily going to give you a pill. But there's so many ways to avoid that just from sadness. Just from understanding some of the things that I talked to you about. If you have acne, if you're covered in acne, nobody's going to look at you. Nobody's going to want to talk to you. If you have shitty posture, that means nobody's going to approach you in a serious demeanor. If you're not fit, if your clothes don't fit right, if you don't fit into a pair of clothes that was designed for a human being that doesn't look like he's an alien from outer space, and it's like, okay, that style, that clothes, that fitness meets clothing style, that's a factor. You have to look like you should be in order to be taken seriously, you have to look the part. You have to look like you'd be taken seriously, okay? If I wanted to, I can wear any color I want. I choose to stay away from greens, but if I wanted to rock greens, I can rock greens. All right? But there isn't a color that I can't pull off. All right? So I created a new style for myself every once in a while, and I start to blend in new colors because I have a body type that supports it. I have a mindset that enforces it, and I'm not afraid to step outside the lines. All right? There's a lot of influencers out there, so a lot of British dudes too, that will show off different different styles that you can get for cheap money. You don't have to spend a shit ton of money. You don't have to go like full Adidas on everything. You can just go to like a secondhand store, find some decent shoes, find some decent pants, and just go there once a month, poke around a couple things, maybe spend $12, maybe get yourself a new polo, maybe get yourself a new pair of pants, maybe get yourself like a secondhand pair of nice shoes. You just start to roll in that new style. It's like, I feel better. These clothes fit nicer. I don't look like shit. I'm not wearing band t-shirts all the time. And you start to feel better about that. People notice that too. That's the first thing. If you change your style into something more acceptable, something more business casual, people see that. They gravitate towards that. That's a huge thing. So that's fitness and style. They go together. Wealth, like I said, wealth takes a while. You do about 3 to 5 years, and then you can develop some wealth. You can develop some room to negotiate with how you move about through your daily life. All right. But wealth is, like I said, wealth is patience, pattern, discipline. Ultimately, it's about money, though. It's money and investment. That's all it is. And then time. And you put that together, depending upon what you... And there's plenty of free ways to do it. There's plenty of free platforms that will allow you to take whatever money you have, even if it's $1. You put it here and leave it there, it'll earn interest. There's money markets, there's ETFs, there's index funds, and then there's just overall stocks. You put it there and you leave it there. All right? And there's in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Dude, I'm telling you. Just put it there. Now, that's for sad. Now, sad you can't do anything with, unfortunately. Sad doesn't bring anyone in. It doesn't travel outward. You can't use it as fuel. It's useless. It is an emotion where you have to kind of sit down and look at yourself and be like, I need to do something about this. Now, anger, being mad can drive you. You can drive mad. You can use mad. Mad is fuel. Anger's fuel. But that is a two-way street. There are trade-offs. If you're mad and you go to the gym, if you're angry and you go to the gym, all right, you've got fuel. All right? If you're mad and you go for a run, you got fuel. All right? You're mad, you go to boxing class, you got fuel. But if you're mad and angry and you walk into the office, or you try to seek a relationship, or you try to go see your family, or you get pulled over by the police, well, I'm just stating scenarios here where anger and being mad is not going to help you. Why are you mad? Why are you mad, bro? First of all, it was referred to me as an ick. Being mad is an ick. It's basically, or being angry, having rage, uncontrollable rage, it's an ick. It means that you're not in control. All right? Every man is dangerous. Every man is capable of being dangerous. Every man is capable of being a monster. But you need to control that. You need to understand that beast inside of you, whether you weigh 90 pounds or 190 pounds, that's a beast you need to learn how to control. That comes through confidence, hard work, patience, and overall just drive and discipline to make sure that monster inside of you is basically a driving force only for being better, not for being worse. Unless you're getting in an octagon, even then, you still have to have a game plan when you go into the octagon. But here's the thing. You walk into a house or an apartment, or you get into your car, and none of them are organized. That's mad. That's maddening. You come home to an organized place. You get into an organized car where you're not just taking junk food and throwing it in the back seat or right here. This is a peace of mind environment that allows you to... You're not thinking about that shit on the floor, or that shit on the couch, or that shit in the fridge, or the shit in the sink, or the shit at your... Now that shit's gone, you can get rid of the shit that's in your brain. You can get rid of that. You can process it. You can write it down. Be like, what's this shit in my brain? What am I thinking about right now? Flat Earth theory. But leaving things unfinished is a reason to seethe and to be angry. You got to be organized in real life, and you got to be organized in the fantasy that's in your brain. How do I want my life to turn out? Now, these things, these sadness, this anger, this is part of being jealous, being envious. That guy's living a cooler life than me. He's got a hot girlfriend. He's got a fucking sweet job. Drives an E-Class Mercedes. Wish I could be, it's like, dude, I get it. You drive around in this car, this version of the car, somebody else has a cooler version or a newer version or it's like, whatever, dude. Whatever. You drive around a 2007 Ford Focus with 50,000 miles. It's clean as a whistle. Be happy. You're getting 35 miles a gallon. You got a clean car. You own the fucking thing probably. This is a plus. First of all, you have a clean car. Girl gets in that car, be like, all right, well, he's obviously, he's being fiscally responsible. Like, oh, this car is clean. I'm telling you, you drive an older car, but that car drives well. It's inspected, or all the work is done to it. It's got, whatever the miles are, doesn't matter, but it's taken care of technically. And people get in the car and go, this car is spotless, thing's clean. And then you got like a nice little MP3 or Bluetooth player in there, and it's like everything works and it sounds good on the road. It's like, this car's clean. It's like, yeah, this is good. It's all I need. And then I'm saving up to get like a Corvette. Costs $7,000, so I'm probably gonna get that. Yeah, I'm working on that, or maybe a little SUV. Those aren't expensive either. It's like, cool. That's something to be. There's something there. There is. Don't be ashamed of your 1994 Chevy Cavalier with 130,000 miles on it. If that sucker's clean, be proud. You got a 1991 Pontiac Sunbird in teal, but the car is spotless. You treated all the rust. You clean the inside. Cool, man. Whatever. It's transportation. People will get it. Be like, I can't believe. Women will look at you and be like, I can't believe you still drive that thing. I can't believe it's still running. Be like, hey, I take care of it, and it's pretty cool. Put a new stereo in it. Sounds pretty good. Goes everywhere. It's dependable, just like me. Eventually they'll say, like, why don't you go get something new? I'll be like, well, I'm going to hang on to this car, but I was really thinking about getting, this car right here. What do you think? And they'd be like, oh, look at that. Gawk, gawk. There's something there, but you have to be patient and focused on not what they want you to get, but what you need to do in order to achieve a lifestyle that can actually afford it. Don't go out there and try to lease a BMW that you can't afford. Don't bother with that. Don't waste your time. Because that's all from that guy's got a BMW. Why don't I? First of all, who gives a shit about BMWs? It's a fucking garbage car. Don't be jealous or envious. I understand. You go out there, you see somebody like my buddy Bobby. He has a fucking Mustang. He bought a Mustang, and then my posing instructor Bruno bought a Jaguar. So Bobby had a convertible Mustang V8. And Bruno bought a fucking V8 Jaguar convertible. And I was like, well, great. Where's mine? Mine got blown up on the side of the road. So I got angry. And I bought a Mustang. But I could afford it. I could afford to do it. Sort of. I needed a car. And I was like, we'll figure this out later. But I was responsible. I didn't go and buy a new car. I went with something that was in the price range. And then I figured out the rest later. But I was envious. I was jealous. But it was my identity. I was trying something new. So that that jealousy or whatever, that can work out from time to time. Because you're trying to aim up. You're trying to ascend the ranks. But at the end of the day, I knew I was buying a reliable car. That's the kicker. Just not something I could drive in the wintertime. But I figured that out. But if you're so focused on what everybody else is driving, doing, eating, traveling, and lifting, you're not focusing on your objectives. Don't focus on what that guy's doing in the gym. Focus on what you need to do. Focus on your form. Focus on your routine, your eating, your sleep patterns. Don't focus on what anybody else is doing. Just see the result. Most of the time, they just see the results. Is your goal, and because your goal is not to be jealous. Your goal is not to be envious. Your goal is not to be mad. Your goal is not to be sad. But your goal is definitely not to be happy 24/7. That doesn't exist. By doing all of this, you're not going to be happy 24/7. You're going to hate going to the gym. You're going to hate getting up at 5. You're going to hate being organized. Hate organizing. You're going to like being organized, though. And when you're going to be happy when you walk out of the gym. You're going to be happy that your car is paid off. You're going to be happy that you're jacked and that your acne's gone, that your posture is better, that your fitness is, you're looking good, your style, you got some style. You took some time to get some style in a small wardrobe, but you got there. You didn't like that you had to put your money away for 5, 10, 15 years, but you did. And now Microsoft is so and so amount of per share, and you've got fucking 200 shares of it because you were patient and you put that money away. All right? Hewlett Packard's only $22 a share right now, I think. 22? Around there. That's Hewlett Packard. It's one of the largest companies in the world. You could buy a bunch of those. Pays a quarterly dividend too, by the way. So you're not going to like doing all this stuff, but you're going to like the end result. And education and knowledge, ultimately, being a smart person, being a well-rounded person, doesn't mean you got to do 2 years in college, 4 years in college, 6 years in college. People who go to college for 4 years, a lot of them don't know a fucking thing. They're dumb. They're dumb. They're just bumper car brain. So but there's a lot of ways to know. There's reading old stuff, reading new stuff, a lot of YouTube, a lot of online university, a lot of online classes, little things that allow you to learn this, that, and the other thing. And you go through these and you take this knowledge and you use it ultimately to your benefit. There's a lot of fitness gurus out there that can work towards your lifestyle. A lot of nutritional gurus. There's a lot of financial wellness guys. I love Joseph Hogue, Bowtie Nation, and Brian Kim of Clear Value Tax. I use that little two-pronged approach. Help me understand what's coming and how to invest in it. And then, I get it. If you're 40 and you don't have any, or you're 30, you're around 30, 35, 40, and you haven't attacked any of this, you still got time. You just got to really turn on the juices faster because you're going to be in a bit of a rush. But back to my other point, my finishing point here. Being happy all the time, it's not your goal. It's not your goal. They say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning. It's a little more proper. Happy is just like that kind of that easy go-to. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning. The pursuit of your own purpose, your own journey in life. You're happy 24/7. It's like, then guess what? Nothing's getting done. You're on a fucking anti-anxiety or anti-depression pill. Nothing's getting done. Nothing. You didn't do any of this. All this, being happy all the time, you're on drugs. You didn't do any of it. Nothing. You may be happy, or you may think that you're happy, but everybody around you is probably miserable, or nobody's around you, period. All right? You're not doing anything that challenging, that tough, that hard, that critical. You're not. It's going to be short term. You're going to be bagging groceries at Market Basket for the rest of for all of your geriatric years. That's not how you want to end up. Happiness all the time? No. It's not good. It's not good. Get yourself a dog. If you want to learn how to take care of something. Happiness all the time. I mean, a dog will help with that. But ultimately, you got to take care of that dog. You got to feed that dog. You got to care for that dog. You got to walk that dog. You got to love that dog. And love is not happiness. At least not all the time. Love is commitment. Love is hard work. Love is discipline. If you work through all these things, these little two things of why are you sad, why are you mad, you'll get to all these things where you love what you've become. And you love what's around you, and you love what you've achieved. And if you start with that, you start with these little things. Man, at the end of the day, it all starts with that ramen noodle diet where you've got nothing. You start with nothing, but you have a little ramen noodle diet or a little dead animal and rice, and from there, you can build a fucking empire. You can accomplish wondrous things. And God, man, if you start by like the age of 20, or hell, as soon as you get out of high school, you go and get some job and you go get some shitty car, something that's okay and decent, you just start putting money away, you realize that people retire early by the age of 30 because they just caught a good wind of 12 years of just good investment and really not spending much. Imagine being from age 30 to 45 of really not having to work all that hard because you did everything you needed to do by the time you were like 16, 17, 18, all the way up to the age of 30. And next thing you know, you're part-time at a golf course, or you're part-time this, that, or the other thing, because you don't have to. Your investments in your work and your, other things have worked out for you. That's the kicker. And it's not expensive. The most expensive thing ultimately is just investing in yourself. It's the time. It's the organization of your time. Taking everything that you do and organizing it into blocks daily. It doesn't take long. It takes a cheap pad and a cheap pen and paper to basically go like, what am I doing today? Ba 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 ba. Cool. Check off, check off, check off. And then go to work. That's all you do. If you got to get your nap, like a little nap and a 30-minute nap so you can figure out how you're going to attack the rest of the day, or how you're going to deliver your thoughts, it's like, okay, I get it. But you need to act. And if you're older, you need to act now. So, easy enough. A great segue from last week's podcast about long-term plan. Ultimately, emotionally, how are you going to achieve that long-term plan? The problems you're going to see from the beginning. And like I said, acne, posture, fitness, style, wealth, education, knowledge. These are things that just pop into your head. Some of it's pretty materialistic or superficial, but it is part of the same thing. Like if you look like shit, feel like shit, act like shit, got a bank account that looks like shit, you're going to be shit. But you take all that into consideration and you work on every single piece of it, you're going to succeed. 9 times out of 10. Some people fail, but hey, I didn't. You can find me on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. If you have questions, concerns, or comments, you can email me through my website. Contact me there in the contact section, positivesarcasm.com, or positivesarcasm@outlook.com. Instagram. So you got 3 methods of attack here. So you want to support this podcast and all things PS, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. If you want to be critical of my wardrobe, you can do that too. Quite frankly, I think I look fantastic. I am hungry. But you can find this podcast on YouTube and Rumble for the video portions, and the podcast on the audio version available everywhere else. Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, blah, 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 blah. Also downloadable and streamable from my website, positivesarcasm.com. In the meantime, you know what I'm doing. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. And I'll talk to y'all, I think maybe next week. I might have to take next week off because I am going to be out of town. And when I say out of town, we're talking like 6-hour drive out of town. But I'll talk to you soon. Recorded here in the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. But for entertainment purposes only, this has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation.